High-performing professionals' feedback loops in their personal lives are a dumpster fire. They're awful. They're awful, and they're so tight. They're so tight inside the office. They're so structured in their professional life, and they freaking wing it in their personal life. My name is Brian Panuzzo. I help financial professionals stay in the best shape of their life without stepping away from the desk. I know your life because I lived it for 20 years. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Lift podcast. My name is Brian, and if this is your first time here, thank you for being with us. If it is not your first time here, I'm sure you may be able to hear that I don't sound exactly the way I normally do. I am coming down with it, as they say. There's something going around. There's that thing going around. My family has been a little under the weather. I have not been sleeping that well over the last week or two, and I think it's catching up to me a little bit. But as it is implied by the title of the podcast, we show up to work, and we do things that we need to do when we are required to do them. And I am required right now to do this podcast because this is the time that we have blocked. And you show up to the office when you must, even when you don't feel well. And that's what I want to talk about this week. I want to talk about this double standard we have in our lives, right? At work, we do whatever it takes. We do whatever it takes to advance. We're motivated, we have defined goals, and we get after it. Outside the office, we tend to hope. We tend to try to. We tend to just see if things are going to get better, right? Same person, but a different set of standards. And success is not different if we want the same type of results and achieve the same level of success, right? So your rules are just different, not the person, not the success, right? The rules, it's just the rules. And I want to talk a little bit about a framework that I have thought of for years now in keeping your mind on the outcome that you are looking for and some of the principles that you have around that. And so your career success framework to me is pretty simple. You already use a lot of this. You have a very defined goal. So for a financial advisor listening to this, it might be assets under management. Could be random. For a trader or salesperson, it could be, the desk, profit and loss, P&L. So your individual P&L, the P&L of the business, and then obviously it sort of waterfalls up from there. If you're just the CEO, if just the CEO, it's a pretty accomplished thing to do. If you're a CEO, the company has revenue targets, profitability targets. Like we all get this. If you're an everyday employee of a company, you've been paid, several $100,000 a year, and your goal is to get a 10% or 15 or 25%, bump this year. Like whatever it may be, you have a pretty defined goal for yourself from a financial standpoint, okay? And that drives and pushes you throughout the month and the months of the year in order to show up and do the things that you need to do. The other thing that we have in our professional lives typically is mentorship. You did not get to where you are today by just showing up and doing it on your own. You had line managers, you had senior partners, you had the heads of the desk, you had the branch manager, you had, the team that you were working for when you started your career, right? You use these people as not only accountability, but really as mentors. And if you don't have mentors in your life, you're going to struggle. But we have them inside the office, whether, you may be at a point now where it's like, I'm not really sure who my mentor is anymore. I get that part. We go seek those out on one-off situations, but you absolutely had mentorship over the last 20 years getting to where you got. We have a structured plan. You have quarterly targets, you have a weekly plan, and you have day-to-day flow of what you normally do. Now, I realize that some people listening to this may sit in a seat that I used to sit in, like on a trading desk, and your daily flow is may feel different because you don't have a meeting at 11 most days. You're not doing something, structured at 9:30. We're in the mix. We're on the desk. We're in the trenches. You're trading bonds, hopefully. You're moving whatever asset class you trade around, right? But the flow is the same. What you're doing is the same. For me, I might have been trading, 2 or 3 different bonds a day, but what I do is the same. The morning meeting is the same. It's at the same time. The same people are in there. I then back out to the desk, and I start to go through the same, my runs, as we would call them, and I would get my levels out to everyone, and I would explain what was going on, my axes, what I wanted to do on a daily basis to the marketplace. I would then start to call and ping, on an instant message, the same guys, and the same list of 20 guys that I would just rip through and just give them updates on what's going on. Hopefully get on the phone, hopefully have a quick conversation, right? The same people, the same salespeople, men and women across the floor that I'm communicating with. So the job is the same, even if you're doing slightly different things. The structure is there, okay? The other thing that we had, which I'm hopefully in a small way exhibiting right now, is we had some grit. We had a little bit of grind, oftentimes a lot of grind, maybe too much grind. We showed up when we were tired, when we were stressed, when we were not motivated, when we sounded like this. We showed up. We did the little things. We didn't really have drama about it either. We just do them because we have to. We realize that there is a consequence when we don't. We fear that consequence in some way. Your immediate feedback of not doing the things you need to do is that loop is pretty quick. This ultimately for me is the crux of why I think a lot of people don't take the action that is necessary. It's because we are very comfortable creatures, and we fear, many of us, we fear really poor outcomes. But the really poor outcomes in our personal lives take a long time. They're very delayed. They're delayed consequences. And these delayed consequences keep us from making immediate changes. And so if you put on 20 pounds because you had, a cheat day, you probably wouldn't have too many cheat days. If you went to the doctor and the doctor, a week later and the doctor said your blood work looks terrible, you may die in the next 5 years, you would start to shift your behavior. If the slow and steady neglect at home because we get comfortable in our marriages, if our wives decided to do something immediately, like divorce us or stop having sex with us entirely, instead of just the 1 day a week or the 2 days a month that we get out of obligation, if that happened right away, we would start to connect the dots. But those things, the consequences in our lives outside the office, they don't come right away. They're not immediate. They slowly, I know everyone understands this concept, they compound. They compound over time. Now your success in the office compounds over time, usually too. Now you can have some stratospheric years, I get that. But what if you stopped showing up to the office? What if you just started to sort of YOLO it, and every once in a while you check in and you feel motivated. I'm pretty motivated to go to the office right now. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to work for the next 4 days. But Friday, I don't know, man, it's Friday. I mean, I just put in 4 solid days at the office. I don't really, I kind of deserve it. I kind of deserve the moment to screw around and just relax. And so, I'm not going to go. And you know what? On next Monday, I'm tired from the weekend. So I'm just not going to go into work. That wouldn't last very long. I realize a lot of you are all right, get to the point, Brian. You wouldn't last. You'd be canned. I mean, you certainly wouldn't be accelerating in your career. I mean, maybe you'd find a way to manage up and fake it till you make it. But the immediate consequence of you not having the success inside your career, let alone maybe getting fired, is enough to keep you doing these things. The consequence of you not getting the business that you believe will come from the third client dinner that you don't want to go to this week has your ass in that seat, in that restaurant, on that plane, making that trip, connecting. Because you believe that if you don't do it, you don't get the result that you want. But that result happens. That feedback loop is fast. Like in my program, we talk about feedback loops all the time. I've talked about it on the podcast before. What if you could time collapse that loop to in our program, a weekly basis? I mean, if you don't check in with me, that's a red flag. And then that makes me start to look at what's going on a day-to-day basis for you. I mean, we're looking on a day-to-day basis no matter what. We have constant updates. The technology we use is great. It's like we're stalking you. It's unbelievable. So we can see what you're doing. But if you don't check in, it's like, Jim didn't check in. I don't think I have any Jims in my program. I didn't want to call anybody out subtly. Jim didn't check in. Do I have a Jim? I don't think we have a Jim. Jim, if you're here, I'm sorry. You're doing great. So let's look in and see what he's doing. See what's happening. Has he been tracking the stuff that he normally tracks? So you can't get too far away when the feedback loop is really tight. And I'm telling you, because I've seen it upwards of thousands of times now in the last 6 years. High-performing professionals' feedback loops in their personal lives are a dumpster fire. They're awful. They're awful. And they're so tight. They're so tight inside the office. They're so structured in their professional life. And they freaking wing it in their personal life. And so that's where you have to start to get more like you're running your business. If you ran your body, if you ran your marriage like your business, your goals wouldn't be vague. It wouldn't be get in better shape, be more present. I mean, those are all great ideas, but what is that? Define it. I know what better shape means. What does it mean for you? Because it means something completely different for me. I can promise you that. All right. You got to have mentors. You got to get a mentor, get a coach. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if you pay me. Honestly, I really don't. And you can have virtual mentors too, but you really got to get somebody that will hold you to the fire, because if podcasts like this are your mentor, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate you. But you can turn me off whenever you want. You can mute me. You can not check in with me next week virtually. Social media, that can't be, you can't get your ideas from there and expect to be successful, because there's 17 new ideas a day on there. So find somebody, find a group of people, find a community that you can run with, literally and maybe even figuratively. You have to have structure. You can't have random workouts. Get somebody to program your damn workouts for you. Go to a professional who can look at you, who can run you through some screens, who can pay them for a month. If you don't want to work out with a trainer, pay them for a month to design you a program, and then go do it by yourself. No new diets every month. You don't do this stuff at the office. You don't try something new every month. Hey everyone, you know what? We're just going to try this brand new thing this month. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to frickin' wing it. All right? Your feelings don't drive your actions in the office, but your feelings drive your actions outside the office. So no more feelings driving your actions. Facts over feelings. Develop a scoreboard. Scoreboards are so powerful. You have them at the office. I know we've tried to eliminate them from our societies. but you have them. You know how you're doing. You know how the other people next to you are doing. You know how sorry, I told myself I wasn't going to curse as much on this podcast. You know how freaking annoyed I would get, sort of, when there was a big trade going down on the desk and I wasn't part of it. And I know people who sit on a desk who are, get paid via commission. Obviously, then you're really not part of it, but at least you're part of the team, right? And when you weren't getting paid on commission, it was still a good thing for me, but I still didn't like it because it wasn't me. And I thought I was just as good, if not better than the people doing it. Now, I wasn't like upset. I was just like, damn, like I'm that good. And they're doing this big trade and everyone's high-fiving and I'm high-fiving, but I'm not the one being congratulated. And I want that. Have scoreboards in your personal life. How many steps did you average last week? Can you beat it this week? Did you lose any weight this week? If that's your goal, are you pushing more numbers in the gym? Are your weights going up, reps going up, sets going up? Is the amount of time you're having sex with your wife going up? Is the frequency and the quality going in the direction that you want it to? If it's not, you are not doing the things that you need to do. Plain and simple. So use scoreboards. It's feedback. For all of my ex-athletes, I know that you are highly motivated when you're down in the game. If you are down in the game in your personal life, get your ass back in the game. Go on a run. Get hot. This is how you do it. You start to apply some of the principles and structure in your professional life, and goddamn grit. Just a little bit of grit. Sprinkle a little bit of grit on top of that, and you have this magical formula. And so we're going to wrap up this conversation this week short because I don't want my voice to start cracking. Remember, you have a blueprint to create success in your personal life. If you ran your body like your business, if you ran your marriage like your business, you'd already have what you want. You'd already be elite. You'd look and feel the way that you desire. So bring some of that structure into your personal life. Have the motivation of the defined goals and the outcomes that you want. Develop some of the scarcity and some of the fear that you have around the consequences of you not doing these things from a not achieving the goals perspective, but maybe even more immediately from your ass getting fired. Because if you stop showing up, or you show up intermittently, or you continually don't keep promises to yourself, which is what we do outside the office all the time, you will not last in your seat very long. You know this. That's why you get up and you go to work. It might be why you're doing it today. You might be listening to me on a Monday morning, I hope, driving to the office, commuting to the office on the train, and wondering to yourself, oh, man, I don't really want to go, but I gotta go. How ironic would that be, listening to this line right now, feeling what you've just felt? But we do it anyway. We have grit. We're afraid of the consequences. The consequences in our personal life do not show up as fast. They are delayed consequences. We've heard of delayed gratification. It's delayed consequences. I did a podcast on this. If those consequences showed up faster, we would change our behavior out of fear. And you can manufacture that fear. You can just fast forward into the future. If you keep drinking 5 days a week, what do you think is going to happen to you? If you keep neglecting your wife, if she keeps asking you to do things and you're not doing them, what do you think is going to happen to your marriage? If you keep seeing the scale go up, if you keep getting out of the shower, looking in the mirror and going, oh man, what do you think is going to happen? But you can make these changes right now. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more motivation. You need the same standards that you already live by at work. I appreciate you guys. If this resonated with you, please send it to somebody else. Tell somebody else about me. Rate and review the podcast. I haven't asked about that in a while. That would be appreciated. Hope you have a great week. I'll see you back here next week.